Kia ora whānau and welcome to our talk on Edward Gibbon Wakefield. Hopefully by the end of this video we'll be able to acknowledge his plan for New Zealand, why he made it, and the implication that those actions had. Wakefield's involvement in New Zealand came during and after his imprisonment. But before we get into that, let's talk about his upbringing. The Wakefields were known as a high status family through his grandfather, but unfortunately with that status did not come wealth. This could be seen as the start of his money-hungry campaign, which ultimately led to the plan he had for New Zealand. Like I said in the beginning, most of his involvement in New Zealand came during and after his imprisonment. How did he go to prison, you might be asking? Well, in 1926, he was in prison for creating a plan with his brother to abduct a 15-year-old girl at the age of 30. His plan was successful, and because of this, he was imprisoned for 3 years. Yes, it is supposed to be a 15-year-old girl and no, we're not artists. His plans with her was to marry her and inherit her family's wealth, which again highlights his lust that he has for money. I don't know about you guys, but this guy's a weirdo. In those 3 years of imprisonment, Wakefield came up with a plan. Wakefield's plan would boost British economy, deal with the overcrowded problem in UK, and also make him rich and famous. His ultimate goal was to buy land very cheap from Māori chief, sell it for a very high price to rich colonists, and send labourers from the UK to New Zealand to work. He patented this idea, and after his imprisonment, him alongside his brothers in a few financial years came together to create the New Zealand Company. All New Zealand was to the Wakefields was a blank canvas that had so much potential that wasn't being used. Like I said before, we're not artists. Edward used the profit from his land deals to pay for passage for the UK labourers. This decreased the population of British in the UK, which was a good thing at the time, and it also offered them a future and a plan. This increased the population of Europeans in New Zealand by a whole lot. Because of the growing size of the NZ Company, Wakefield was required to buy more land just to make all of his settlements more self-sufficient. This was the start of many dodgy deals for land with the Māori. The New Zealand Company believed that they were buying the land and the rights to it, but the Māori were only allowing them rights to use the resources such as water and timber. But the NZ Company crowned themselves as the whole owner of that land. Dodgy land deals like this played a huge part in why the Māori signed the Treaty of Waitangi. Battles played out because the Māori felt like they were treated unfairly and they weren't backed up by the Crown. The Māori then continued to burn down huts of the New Zealand Company, which ultimately led to many battles and skirmishes. This ultimately led to the death of a Māori chief's wife. Because of this death, the Māori chief demanded utu, which is revenge. So they gathered up all Pākehā and killed them. This included Edward Gibbon Wakefield's brother, who received an axe to his head. A British governor investigated the whole situation, ordered them to be peaceful, and gave back the land to the rightful owners. You could only imagine how detrimental the Treaty of Waitangi was to Wakefield and his ideas. If the Treaty of Waitangi wasn't made, you'd have more Wakefields coming into New Zealand and buying land for a low price. Many battles and skirmishes that the British had with the Māori ultimately came to the unfair treatment of the Māori. And that unfair treatment has carried out throughout whole generations and created long life trauma for Māori in many generations. So the next time you look at yourself in the mirror, just think to yourself, I don't want to be a Wakefield.